Welcome back. In this video we are going to discuss about the implementation of dynamic host configuration protocol using Cisco Packet Tracer Tool. It's very simple implementation. Dynamic host configuration protocol, it's very simple to implement. What is the advantage of this protocol is, see, if we need to implement a topology where we have some 100 computers, to assign IP address to each and every PC, it is difficult to go to each and every PC and then assign the IP address and the default gateway to all the PCs individually, and it is also time consuming, and there is possibility that we'll forget some IP addresses and we'll give the same IP address to some other system, so that we'll have an IP conflict. To avoid that, what we are going to do is we are going to use this router. One router, we are going to declare this router as a server, and from this server the IP addresses to all the devices connected to that will be given IP address automatically. It is done by a protocol called as Dhcp. It is dynamic host configuration protocol. So now what we are going to do today is we are going to assign only the IP address for this router, and we are going to give the range of addresses which router has to allocate to all the PCs, so that we'll do this implementation now. So what are the things we are going to do? What is the procedure to do this one? Let us see first. First we need to construct the topology as given, which means that we need to take the components and then connect all these components as shown in the topology. Then we need to assign the IP address only to the router which will act as a server. So we are going to select the router which will act as a server. I am going to give an IP address only for that router, and we are going to assign a Dhcp pool. The purpose of creating this pool is we are going to tell that Dhcp that this is the number of addresses, these are the address ranges which you need to assign to the PCs which are connected to the network. Then we need to give a network address. So network address is the default address which is nothing but it will end with .0. For example, if I'm using 192.168 dot network, so my network address will be 192.168.1.0. that address I'm going to define. Then I'm going to assign the default router followed by Dns Server. So here Dns Server, it is an optional to assign, but when we do some corporate sectors or when we go into industrial sectors, this Dns Server will play a major role. So we will see the implementation of that Dns Server as well. Then we can also have an option that we can exclude the addresses which we need to reserve or which we do not want to assign to any other PC. That also we have an option to give. At last we can go to PC and then give the Dhcp addresses automatically. We'll see how it is working. So I'll go through the commands once. So first we are going to go to the router. In the router we are going to give an interface JIC 0/0. This is the interface which we have connected to the router. Then we are going to give an IP address for the router as 192.168.1.100, 255.255.255.0 is a subnet mask. Then we are going to give no shutdown and exit. Next we are going to give Dhcp pool. We are going to declare the pool. Once the pool is declared, then we are going to give a network address followed by the default router DNS server. One address I'm giving you as DNS server. I'm going to give an addresses to exclude. Say I'm taking ranges from 1.1 to 1.10. So 10 addresses I'm going to exclude. So these 10 addresses will not be assigned to any PCs. Then 1.100, which is the address of the router, I'm going to avoid. Then 1.50, which is address of the server, I'm going to exclude. These addresses will be excluded. Then we'll go to any PC and then click Dhcp so that we'll get the IP addresses. Once again we'll go to the command prompt and we'll see the release and renew command. These commands also we'll see, so that what is the previous addresses which was there, then after renewal what is the addresses which we are facing. See, these two commands, even in real-time mode, when you get a message called as when you connect to the internet, when it shows that DNS server is mismatching or DNS server is not identified, then you can go to command prompt and use these commands, and then you can check what was IP address which need to flush the DHCP. This real-time commands, you can just practice it. It is up to you. Now we'll go to the Packet Tracer tool and implement the same thing. I'll give you a minute so that you can able to note down the commands once. Fine. So we'll move on to the Packet Tracer tool. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some one router, this router of 1941, let me take, and this router is going to be my server. Let me label this also now. This is going to be my DHCP server. So the IP address for this server is going to be 192.168.1.100 with the mask 255, 0, correct? And then I'll take a switch of 2960 and some devices, a PC or a laptop, any device you can do it. I'll take some 4 devices. I'll connect all these devices using the copper straight through cable. As we know, we can use copper straight through cable to connect 2 different devices, PC and a switch, or a switch and a router. Yes, I'm connecting. All the devices are to be connected like this. So this orange will turn into green in how many seconds? If you want to know what is that behind this orange to green, watch the spanning tree protocol video, so that you will know that what is happening between orange turning into green. Now I'll connect gigabit cable 0/1 to the router gigabit 0/0. That's all the topology is created. If I see what is the next step, see, once that topology is done, the next step is you need to assign the IP address only to the router which acts as the server. So let us go to the router CLI and we can type no. Now enable, then in configuration mode, now I will start typing the commands. So interface gig 0/0, this is what we have connected. So I'll give the IP address 192.168.1.100 followed by the mask 255, 0. Then I should give no shutdown so that my device will not go into sleep mode. Then that's all, we can exit from this mode. Then I can give the pool name, so IP DHCP pool, any name I can give. I'm giving CCIE, any name you can give it there. Then I can give network 192.168.1.0 to 255.255.255.0. This is going to be my network address. So 1.0 with the subnet mask I have given. Then I can give the default router. So default router is what? The server address as such. So 192.168.1.100. No need to give the IP address subnet mask here. Then DNS server. This is an optional step. It is better to give the DNS server. So server address I'm giving it as 192.168.1.50. Let me take 1.50. Then that's all about the commands we have given. So I'm going to give some excluded address also. IP DHCP excluded address. So 192.168. First I'll exclude the router's address. So 1.100. Next I'll exclude the server address. IP DHCP excluded address 192.168.1.50. I'll also exclude some addresses which I'm going to reserve it for some other PCs when we need to give it. So 192.168.1.1 to 192.168.1.10. So these IP addresses will not be given to any PCs. It is excluded. When we need to connect it, when new devices comes, when we need to give these addresses, we can give it that time. We can give this IP address. It is like reserving that fancy numbers in mobile phones, so that with some VIP persons, when they need, we can give these IP addresses. Like I'm reserving these IP addresses. That's all. With this, I can exit from this mode. Now let me go to the PC. Any one device, any PC can go now. Desktop. This is usual procedure how we'll give the IP address. Now IP address, see here it is in static mode. Once I select the DHCP, the IP addresses, I need not give the IP addresses. Now it will come automatically. You can observe that. See DHCP. See now it has been taken the IP address 11. Why? We have given up to 10 addresses as reserved, so it has taken the IP address 11 with subnet mask and default gateway and DNS server what we have given. All this, it has been taken automatically. Similarly, any device, you can go to any device, then you can select DHCP. So it has taken the next IP address. Anything which you reserve or exclude, it will not be allocated to any device until we permit again. So now, yes, it is done. Now it is done. Now we can see the communication between the devices. See, it is successful. Once again, we'll check with this to this. It is successful. Now that's all about the DHCP allocation of the IP addresses. Now one more thing I'm going to do now. Like if suppose there is a router, let me take one more router of 1941 is also there. This is not the server. Now it is one of the router. This is only a router. So this router also, it is a device just like this components like your PCs and laptops. So this router also need an IP address. So how to assign an IP address for this router from the server, that we will see. First let us connect this router to this switch. We have one more gigabit port, so that with that port I'm connecting gigabit 0/0. Now go to this router. We'll go to this router, then we will click, we'll go to enable and then configuration mode. In here I'm just going to call that router's port interface gig 0/0. Then I'm just going to give IP address. I'm not giving an IP address, any IP address here. I'm just giving DHCP, which means using the DHCP you fetch your own IP address. Okay, then I'm going to give no shutdown. That's all. I can exit from here now. You can see it is fetching the IP address. This orange will turn into green, so that it has taken the IP address. Now you can see here it has taken the IP address. One sec. So it has taken the IP address as 192.168.1.15. This is the IP address which has been taken to the router. So router has taken the IP address 192.168. You can see here 192.168.1.15 is the IP address which is taken by this router. Now, so any device can take the IP address. Now this router has been declared as an DHCP. This router has been declared as a DHCP server. So any device when they need an IP address, it can take this. So this is all about the dynamic host configuration protocol. Hope you have understood. If you have any doubts, you can post it in the comment section. I'll be able to reply to you. Thank you. And I told you we'll see what is release renew command. We'll go to any one of the device. Command prompt. Here I'll use the command ipconfig /release. So now you can see that initially it was 000 IP address, subnet mask is again zeros, default gateway, DNS server. Nothing was there initially. Now after giving this renew command, you can see that now it has got the IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, DNS server. So this release renew command are used to check what is that address before DHCP, after DHCP. These two commands I missed out earlier. I told you now. Thank you. You can also verify it on any device. You can verify the same. Thank you.